All right, ladies and gentlemen, this one's going to be special to me. Back in January of 2023, almost 2 years ago, I did a reaction to a TV commercial featuring Mr. Timothy Chalamet. Do you guys remember that bomb commercial this dude did for Apple TV? Just proving how his charm and talent is limitless. He is easily my favorite actor working today, and he's generally the best thing about every project that he's in. So not only my affinity for Timothy Chalamet, but another thing that this movie has going for it is my father was a giant Bob Dylan fan, and as a result, I grew up with Dylan's records spinning in my house. Here's a shot of my dad with me in his lap as a young boy. I was probably about 7 or 8 years old there. My little sister's there, my mom, and that was my dad. If you see that picture, you go, yeah, that's a Bob Dylan fan. That picture was probably taken in the early 80s. So being a huge fan of Bob Dylan's music, being a giant fan of Timothy Chalamet, what's going to happen when Timothy Chalamet plays Bob Dylan in a biopic directed by James Mangold, who also directed probably my favorite music biopic ever in Walk the Line? My mind may explode right here, but let me try to give you a neutral review of A Complete Unknown. All right, guys, welcome back to the garage. Sorry for that long intro. This will be a pretty short review, though, and it will be spoiler-free. But I'm here to talk to you today about the new James Mangold biopic, A Complete Unknown. As I alluded to, stars Mr. Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan. This is based on a true story, so I don't know that you can necessarily spoil anything, but I will stay away from specific plot beats that happen in the movie so that you can experience those for yourself. There are a lot of great classic Dylan tracks that are not only performed in the film, but also you get to see that creative process and Timmy kind of writing the songs as Dylan and how Dylan came up with the lyrics for a lot of his more popular tunes. The film takes place in the early to mid 1960s. It covers about a 6 or 7 year period, I would say, really starting in 1960 when Dylan migrates to New York City just with his guitar and a dream. He was a Woody Guthrie fan, listened to Woody Guthrie records in his free time, and said, you know what, if Guthrie can do it, I can do it. Not only can I do it, I'm going to write a song for Woody Guthrie, and I'm going to go visit him and just tell him how big of a fan I am of his, how much of an influence he was on me. Little did Dylan probably know that that would spark his ultimate career in folk music. He also meets Pete Seeger along the way, who becomes a bit of a mentor to him, who was a musician in his own right in the 1960s and a very good friend of Woody Guthrie's. So this chance meeting with Seeger kind of jumpstarts Dylan's career because Seeger sees in him that songwriting capability that a lot of people still to this day say that Dylan is one of the greatest songwriters of all time, up there with the likes of like a Paul McCartney or a Leonard Cohen, for example. So the film is, I will tell you, a pretty formulaic, basic music biopic. Now, the music biopic has come under fire lately, really since Bohemian Rhapsody's success. That film not only did gangbusters at the box office, it also ended up winning a lot of awards, including the Academy Award for Rami Malek, who portrayed Freddie Mercury. A lot of people in the awards circles and even in the general audiences were a little surprised by that nomination and ultimate win, and they think that the biopic was a little bland and left out a lot of kind of behind-the-scenes material that could have been pretty juicy on screen. So ever since Bohemian Rhapsody, every music biopic, now it's kind of like a paint-by-numbers situation. Now, without giving anything away, that's really kind of what we get here with The Complete Unknown also. This is the sister movie to Walk the Line, which I mentioned earlier. It's the same filmmaker. It really takes place in the same universe because Johnny Cash is also having his rise to stardom in country music at the same time that Dylan is having his rise in New York and folk music. They respect each other. They're fans of each other's. Boyd Holbrook plays Johnny Cash in the movie. But what didn't bother me about that having that such a paint-by-number mentality is the performances and, of course, the music. Timothy Chalamet, I'm saying it here on December 10th, is going to win the Academy Award for his portrayal of Bob Dylan. I did not have him at number one prior to seeing the movie or some other precursors that have come out lately, but I'm pretty sure he's my number one now. You've got actors like Adrian Brody and Coleman Domingo in the mix, but I think Timothy Chalamet's charisma in this role, his dedication to learning harmonica, guitar, the voice inflections of Bob Dylan, obviously all the songs he had to learn. He performs his own songs in the movie. He is the singer on the soundtrack for this film. And these aren't songs that somebody just handed him. These are iconic songs. Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize for his songwriting. So this is not like, hey, this is not karaoke out at the bar one night. This is a serious role that had to take a lot of dedication, love, and craft from Timothée Chalamet, and I think he nailed it. Not only Chalamet, I love Monica Barbaro in the film. She plays Joan Baez. I would love to see her get some supporting actress love for this movie. She's virtually an unknown, no pun intended. She did Top Gun Maverick last year, and she's been in some TV stuff, but she kind of comes out of nowhere and really blindsides you in this movie, much like she did Dylan in the early 1960s. And of course, they collaborated together and had this kind of tumultuous romance. It's been well documented. There's been books written about it. She wrote songs about it. Like Joan Baez and Bob Dylan is kind of this elusive, secretive, kind of torrid love story that we know happened, but we don't know a lot of specifics about. Mangold did a great job at kind of touching on those without going too far past the line. Elle Fanning is also great in the movie, who plays Bob Dylan's essentially the love of his life, Sylvie. She was on the album cover for him, his very first debut album. And they just had a relationship that allowed Dylan to have shelter while he was being an artist and being true to his art form. Because all he's ever been is somebody chasing his artistic integrity and always keeping that intact. And I think that the film really does a great job at exploring that and explaining that. Aside from the performances here, which were literally top tier, I love Mangold's direction, as I mentioned also. Edward Norton's been getting some shout outs for his portrayal of Pete Seeger, and I agree with that. I think it is a bit of a monotone performance. It's kind of like an aw shucks, very quiet performance. It never really has any outbursts or any really change and kind of inflection in the movie, but it's definitely different for Edward Norton, and it was interesting to see him in that role. The music is phenomenal. The music performances, the way they were directed were phenomenal. The recreation of the 1960s and these different festivals that would happen at state fairs and on farm grounds, and how it was all recreated is just brilliant. Mangold did such a good job, and I don't know why I would be surprised by that, because he also did that in Walk the Line, in my opinion. He just really captures that time period, and you can tell that it's something that he's passionate about, much like when I opened this review about my dad spinning those records and listening to those artists and having that connection. My dad's not with us anymore, but I see Mangold as like a similar figure who grew up with that music always around, and music moves us, and for him to have the opportunity to tell that story of something that he loves so much as a fan of it, it just comes across in the movie making. A Complete Unknown is one of the best movies of the year. It is up there with Timothée Chalamet's best performance of his career. I'm not going to say that as I'm sitting here right now, only seeing it the one time so far, because I absolutely love his performance in Call Me By Your Name. And that may always be my favorite performance of his, which, by the way, I also think he should have won the Academy Award for that year. But perhaps he was a young buck that wasn't quite ready to upset Gary Oldman. I'm not sure. If you have any interest in the 1960s, like that era, and especially that era in like rock and roll history, I mean, this is Bob Dylan. I mean, this is his beginnings of becoming the icon that he is today, the kind of elusive Mount Rushmore icon of rock and roll history. Go see A Complete Unknown when it comes out on Christmas Day. I am going to rewatch it. I can't wait to see it again, and I will be owning this sucker on 4K when it comes out as well. And I'm probably going to get the soundtrack so I can hear Timmy sing to me, Bob Dylan soon. Out of 100, I'm going to give A Complete Unknown an 84. What a picture. Go check it out. What did you guys think of A Complete Unknown? Are you excited to see it, or have you seen it? Please let me know down below. Thanks for tuning into this review. I'll see you guys out here next time in the garage.